So my name is Roshawn Walter. I actually attended El Camino College fresh out of high school. From El Camino College, I then later transferred to UCLA unexpectedly, never would have thought. And it wasn't until I got to UCLA where I started realizing how empowering and how powerful the community college system was for me. I'm a strong advocate for financial aid because I feel like if it wasn't for financial aid, I would have dropped out of community college simply as a result of not knowing why I was there. However, because I did qualify for that Promise Grant, that Pell Grant, that Cal Grant, it motivated me to remain in community college, even though I didn't really know about the transfer process, even though I didn't fully know why I was there. So again, as I mentioned, I was undecided throughout my first 2 years at the 2-year college. So when I got to my third year at the 2-year college, I thought that that was a problem because I thought that because you went to a 2-year college, you had to finish in 2 years. So when I got to my third year, I'm like, oh my God, I need to declare my major. I need to transfer. I've been here too long. I feel ashamed. And I never had nobody say, there's no rush. It's not about how long you spent at community college. It's about how you performed and how you persisted. But I didn't really know that at the time. So I was applying a lot of pressure on myself at community college. So funny story is I actually applied for University of California, Los Angeles, also known as UCLA. I kid you not, at the time, I did not know I applied to UCLA. I was just like, oh, University of California, Los Angeles? That's obvious in Los Angeles. So I went around El Camino College and I was telling everyone, I'm like, yeah, I applied for University of California, Los Angeles. I applied to Cal State, Los Angeles. But nobody really pointed out to me that I applied to UCLA. So I kid you not, it wasn't until a few months later when I got accepted, they like, oh, congratulations, you've been accepted to UCLA. And I was like, what the heck? I didn't even know I applied to UCLA. It was like a very dumbfounded moment. However, that experience assured me that what's taken for granted as common sense to one student could be a miracle to the next student, because how am I supposed to know what UCLA stood for when I never had nobody in my background or no one in my family that went that route? I never even had a friend that attended a university until I transferred to a university. So much I just didn't know. So even though I got accepted to UCLA, which is a school that people would like kill to get into, I was going to deny that opportunity simply as a result of not knowing that I could succeed there and thrive there. So I had this one guy from UCLA call me, I believe from their Black Alumni Association. And he called me and he was like, hey man, congratulations on your acceptance to UCLA. We need more people like you here. And I was like, I really appreciate it, man. But I decided I'm gonna go to Dominguez because it's cheaper, it's easier, it's by my job. And he was like, dude, I don't care about none of that. We need you here. And I was like, what the heck? Like, is this guy not just hear what I said? You know, because he kind of made me feel stupid, to be honest. But at the time, I needed somebody to push me and challenge me to get out of my comfort zone. Otherwise, I never would have attended. So when I finally transferred to UCLA, I was going to my professor office hours and I was like, yeah, I'm matriculated here from community college. I'm from Compton. I never thought I would have been here. And I was just praising the community college because it wasn't until I transferred to where I started giving community college credit for everything that it pretty much done for me. So my professors was like, dude, that's such a great story. You should consider going to get a master's in counseling and becoming a community college counselor. And I was like, wow, I never knew that I can do that. I never knew that I could go to grad school. I never knew I could get a master's. And literally it took for my professors to kind of advocate and kind of share that with me during my office hours for me to consider going to graduate school after UCLA. I wind up matriculating to USC and I got my master's in educational counseling. And it took me 2 years to get my master's. I'm like, when I first was applying to get my master's, I'm like, okay, if it takes 4 years to get a bachelor's, it got to take at least 6 years to get a master's. Like, literally, that's what I thought. Even though I went to UCLA and then I went to grad school at USC, I brag on community college the most because I feel like community college is what provided me all these opportunities. It really got me out of my comfort zone. I feel like it really changed my life. Although I am where I am today, I'm very in touch with where I was at community college, and legit, I cannot give community college enough credit for what it's done for me, which is why I decided to dedicate the rest of my life to the community college system. And I hope that I inspired someone as someone once inspired me.